This video is rated T or Tickle Me Pink. That's right, what you're looking at on screen right now is a fully built Gunsmith Part 1 weapon. We're going to go through every single one of the weapons for the Gunsmith quests as fast as possible and give you every relevant piece of information you need. So just go ahead and match your weapon to whatever one I have on screen. They 100% do work. You probably just have a loaded magazine, you don't have it folded, or you're missing one part. Just double check it. All of these do work. Not only do they work, I went ahead and spent extra time to make sure this was the cheapest builds that you could possibly build at the time of recording this video to save you guys more money. And speaking of saving money, I finished all the Gunsmith tasks quite a while ago now. That means that I have all of these attachments already unlocked. And if you're stuck on one of these attachments because some fucking burger on the flea market wants $300,000 for his tan flashlight, just come ask me for one. I'd be happy to buy one for you. If you see me streaming or you see me in Discord, I'm in there literally anytime I'm on my computer. I will gladly buy you one, no problem, and get you moving, get you this experience, and keep you progressed. All I ask is you smash the dislike button and tell me to kill myself in the comments down below. This was Gunsmith Part 1. Let's move on to Part 2. It's going to go even faster. Alright, Gunsmith Part 2. You're going to want to use an AKS-74U. Make sure it's a AKS-74U or it will not work. There's a lot of different variations of this baby AK. Make sure this weapon is also of a high durability. For all of these builds, just make sure you get a fresh weapon. One thing that might prevent you from turning this in is making sure the magazine is empty and making sure the stock is folded. If you've completed both of those, then it will fit under the weight category and the cell category. So it needs to be a total of 2x3 cells. The AKS-74U Zenit B11 handguard we see here does get sold out a lot, and on the flea market it goes for a ridiculous amount. There is a barter on mechanic level 1. With the 60 round magazines, they do go for quite a lot on the flea market, but there also is a barter at Prapper level 2. But you will need to complete the quest Ice Cream Cones. Up next is Gunsmith Part 3. Now, you're going to need to use an MP5 SD. You can convert a standard MP5 into an MP5 SD. However, I would recommend you just go ahead and buy an MP5 SD off the flea market, or you get one from Peacekeeper level 2 after doing the quest Scrap Metal, or you get one from me. If you know how to convert an MP5 SD, then by all means go ahead and do that. But I see a lot of people having issues with this. That's why I recommend that. You are going to need a 50 round magazine for this build. Now you can get one from either Peacekeeper or Mechanic level 2 each respectively, and they each have a barter for that. And other than that, this build is easy going. Slap on your laser with your tri-rail ring mount and you're good to go. On to Gunsmith Part 4. Now, we're going to go ahead and utilize an SKS. Make sure you have an OP-SKS. The OP variation is going to go ahead and have that dovetail mount on the left-hand side that lets you slot on different optics that's mounted to the chassis. And if you don't have that, then this build will not work. So just make sure you have an OP-SKS. You can get this from a sniper scav, or you can get it from Jaeger level 1. Most of these components are tied to a low level. However, the SKS Hexagon sound suppressor is going to be level 3 Peacekeeper, which you can utilize. Or you can go ahead and use the AKMN Zenit DTK-4M sound suppressor, which is also skier level 3. So you're probably going to be looking to get these off the flea market. Just get whatever one is cheaper at the time, or ask me to buy you one, no problem. If you do go with the AKM version, just know you're going to need to use that 762 thread adapter that's sold by Jaeger level 2. On to Gunsmith Part 5. So you're going to be using a Model 870. There's no other variations of this weapon. Just grab yourself a Model 870. And you can get this just from Skier level 1. You can do this quest with very low levels, even just level 1 with all your traders. You will need to go ahead and utilize the barter from Mechanic level 1 for the Magbull MOE handguard for the M870 if you have level 1, or you can purchase it from level 2. The same will be said about the M870 Magbull SGA polymer stock. It's a level 1 barter with Mechanic, or you can get that at level 2. Alright, for Gunsmith Part 6, you're actually going to have to wait 21 hours since you got Gunsmith Part 5. So try and knock that out before the next day, because these do give a lot of experience and a lot of rewards, and they unlock relevant attachments. So I would try and just keep knocking these out as much as you can. Do them at the lowest level you possibly can, and they'll level you really fast. For this, we're going to be modifying an AKM. Make sure it's just a AKM, not any of the variations. There's a couple variations of the AKM. And this build is going to cost a lot for one reason. That's the Fortis Shift Tactical Foregrip. Now, you actually have to have Peacekeeper level 4 for this. This might be your first part that you're going to want to come to me for, because last time I saw in the flea market, this was going for around 300,000 rubles. This cost me, I think, 10,000 rubles to buy. Let me save you some money. Come approach me. I'd be happy to help you guys. Other than that, every single other part on this list can be got at level 2 traders. And if you're on this already, I assume you have level 2 traders. On to Gunsmith Part 7. Now we're actually going to be modding an M4A1. There's no other variations of this rifle, so don't really worry about it. You are going to need a 60 round magazine for this, specifically like the Stanag, not the drum. And this is a level 3 barter from Peacekeeper, or once again, I can get this for you. You can largely get this quest done by having level 2 Peacekeeper, so you can do this as low as level 14, but you're going to need to utilize barter. So to get the 260mm barrel, you're going to either barter to Peacekeeper level 2 or to Mechanic level 2. You can also get this barrel on the flea market or just buy an M4 on the flea market and just make sure it's good durability, because raiders and rogues will have short barrel 260mm M4s often, and these go for pretty cheap. You're going to need a Surefire SOCOM mini monster. Now if you saw my level 2 trader builds and the best weapons you could be running at level 2 traders, you know this is normally pretty cheap, but I imagine this is going to go up. I think it's been slept on quite a lot. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll have it on screen in the top right now if you want to run the best weapons you possibly can at your level. You can actually get this suppressor with a barter with skier level 2 if you want to try and knock this out at low level, if the price has gone up on the flea market, or you can buy it from Mechanic level 3. Once again, I'm always available. Probably tired of me saying that, but I really do want to extend that offer to you guys and help you out as much as I can. The only other thing you need to know about this build is you can use quite a few different muzzle brakes. So you can use the AR-15 Surefire SF3P, you can use the AR-15 Surefire War Comp, or you can use the AR-15 Surefire SF4P. All of them will work, that work with the suppressor. So whatever you can get that for the cheapest will work best, or whatever traders you have at the lowest level will work best. I recommend the War Comp because you'll get that from skier level 2, which you'll probably get before anyone else. But check your flea market. On to Gunsmith Part 8. So you're going to need an AKS-74N. Make sure you have that variation or this will not work. This build is going to utilize a lot of level 3 parts. Some of these you can get on the flea market for less than others. For example, the Zenit PT3 stock you can get on the flea market for around 40,000 rubles at the time of recording this. However, the AK Zenit RK3 pistol grip is on the flea market for around 100,000 rubles. So just keep that in mind. It's also quest locked behind skier level 3 after you have to do the quest Missing Cargo, which is pretty far down the lighthouse chain of quests. Well, I guess it's not that far down the lighthouse quest, but lighthouse quests usually aren't things that people tackle right away. So feel free to approach me about those items. You also need a B-30, which is locked behind skier level 4. There is a level 2 barter on Mechanic, but everyone forgets about it. It's just for some ram sticks. It'll only cost you about 30k there. And this part is going for 300,000 rubles on the flea market. So be a big brainer. Just go ahead and utilize that level 2 Mechanic barter. A lot of the other items are tied behind level 3 traders. So you might want to wait till you have level 3 traders, or you're going to be paying a premium on the flea market, or you're going to need a lot of components from me. On to Gunsmith Part 9. So you're actually going to have to wait 21 hours since you completed Gunsmith Part 8 to get Part 9. For this, we're just going to be modifying a P226R. This is a super simple gunsmith build. You can do this with almost level 1 traders. I'll just have it on screen right now. There's not much to say about this. We'll move on to the next one. Gunsmith Part 10. For this, we're going to be modifying an AK-105. The biggest issue with this weapon, once again, is going to be the 60 round magazine for the 5.45. You can use that level 2 barter if you've done ice cream cones already. You can craft one in your laboratory, or you can approach me. They are quite expensive on the flea market, but they tend to go down because they are found a lot on like raiders and rogues. The only other thing you need to know is you can use both a prism optic and an ACOG optic. It does need to be the 3.5x magnified ACOG. There are 4x magnified as well. Just make sure you use that 3.5. On to Gunsmith Part 11. We're going to be going ahead and modifying a Chris Vector, and we're going to be using the 9mm variation. Make sure you don't have a 45mm variation. The Chris Vector is quite expensive. On the flea market, it goes for around 100k. It also sells for around 100k from skier level 3. It's a really great weapon, this wipe. If you haven't given it a rip already, maybe try it after you do this. But something that's going to cost us a lot of money with this build in particular is the Tactical Dynamic Skeletonized foregrip. You have to use this foregrip. Last time I checked, it's around 200k. Feel free to reach out to me and I'll get it for you. Otherwise, you can get it at Peacekeeper level 3. You can get the suppressor for this build, the Osprey 9, with the level 1 barter from Mechanic, and it's pretty good. And other than that, you're going to be ripping on Gunsmith Part 11 in no time. It's a pretty easy build here. Gunsmith Part 12. For this, we're going to be modifying a SIG MPX. There's no other variations of this weapon, so do not worry. This build is very simple. We're only using 4 parts. The skeletonized pistol grip does go for on the flea market, but there is a barter with level 3 skier, so you can get your Tactical Dynamics skeletonized pistol grip right there for cheap. Same thing with the Annihilator, the flash hider. A Mechanic level 2 has a barter for this, and then you will be done with Gunsmith Part 12. Gunsmith Part 13. So there's kind of an issue with Gunsmith Part 13, and that is to get the weapon. We're going to need to be using a Remington RSASS. This weapon is locked quite late behind Peacekeeper quest to the end of the Shoreline quest. There is a barter to get it. You're going to need 8 over level 15 Bear Dog tags, as well as 8 over level 15 USEC dog tags. I guess 15 or higher. I have this weapon unlocked and I'd be happy to help you out if you need one. This weapon is pretty simple to build. The only thing you need to know about the barter is the Night Force 7-35 optic here. You can get that from a level 2 barter from Jaeger, otherwise it's locked behind level 4. And same thing for the mount. It's a mechanic level 2 barter. Other than that though, you're good to go. Here's Gunsmith Part 13. Make sure you don't have a magazine in it and there's no bullet in it, or it could be overweight. And then on to Gunsmith Part 14. So for Gunsmith Part 14, you're actually going to have to wait 21 hours to get this quest. And we're going to be modifying an HK416A5. Now, you can just buy this from Peacekeeper, or you can get it on the fleet. People tend to sell these from the rogues, like I said before, and you'll get them for pretty cheap on the flea market. So look out for that. Just make sure the durability is good. This weapon does need a lot of parts, so probably take you a minute to go ahead and modify this. Just one thing I want to mention about this build is you specifically need to use the AR-15 Surefire SF3P flash hider. It's not like the previous one where you could use any of them. You're also going to need an 11-inch barrel, so if you can find one of these HKs off the flea market for cheap, it's of durability and has that 11-inch, that'll just save you some time and some money. And you're going to need to use specifically the Surefire SOCOM RC2 sound suppressor. And this is loot only. You can't buy this on any of the vendors. There are no barters. So what I would strongly suggest you do is, because this can spawn on the HK, on the Raiders and on the Rogues, is if you can just go ahead and snipe an HK that already has this on, you might save yourself a lot of money. However, at the time of filming this is not too expensive, but it will be going up because most people are not on Gunsmith Part 14 yet. So just go see what the price of it is first and foremost. Other than that, you specifically need to use an LA-5B/PEC tactical device. Now this is locked behind mechanic level 4 and there are no barters. You can get them for cheap on the flea market at the time of recording this. If they're not cheap later on, then come approach me. I can get it for you. Other than that, another pain in the ass item is going to be the EOTech EXP-S3. And it needs to be the tan variation for this build, and this is locked behind mechanic level 4. Once again, at the time of recording this, these are only around 35,000 rubles on the flea market. If they shoot up, feel free to approach me. And with that, you will have Gunsmith Part 14 completed. On to Gunsmith Part 15. For this, we're going to be modifying an AS Val. You do specifically need to use the Fab Defense GL Shock buttstock, but there is a level 2 barter with mechanic. Otherwise, it's locked behind skier level 4. Same with the magazine. You're going to need to be using the 30 round capacity magazines. And there's a barter with level 3 Prapper. Otherwise, you won't be unlocking it to level 4. For the Rotor 43 pistol grip, they're pretty expensive on the flea market, but there is a barter with mechanic level 2. And then to mount your tactical device, you can use 3 different options. So you have the Zenit B3 ring mount, the Zenit B3 mount combo, or the VSS/Val TAS 6P29M mount. Any of those will work. You just need to go ahead and get a laser slapped on this. Gunsmith Part 16. So you're going to be level 30 to start this quest. You're going to need to modify a DVL/10. There's no other variations of this weapon, so don't worry. This is a relatively easy quest. Once again, with that Night Force, which is going to be utilizing that level 2 barter, because you probably don't have level 4 Jaeger yet. Same thing with the mount for it. It's mechanic level 2 barter. You can use 2 different mounts here. So one of them is an IEA Mil Optics KH-F 34mm one-piece mag mount, or the Night Force mag mount 34mm ring scope from Jaeger, who also has a barter at level 2. So whichever one you can get for cheaper, just go ahead and utilize that. All right, Gunsmith Part 17. For this, you need to go ahead and modify an AK-102. You probably are going to want to have around level 3 traders at this point. And so really the only pain in the ass thing you're going to need is the Furfran's CRD556 concussion reduction device. Last I saw, this was pretty expensive on the flea market, so I can buy this for you no problem. Otherwise, that's going to be locked behind Peacekeeper level 4. There's really not a whole lot else to say about this build other than you specifically need to use the Magpul AFG olive drab variation. With the pistol grip in the stock or the Elkin, they can be any color, so just get whatever is cheapest, and we'll go on to the next build. All right, Gunsmith Part 18. For this, we're going to be modifying specifically an AKMN. So make sure you have that variation of the AKM. The only component that's going to be a pain in the ass for you here is going to be the Zukov. It is pretty expensive on the flea market at the time of recording this, but it's locked behind Peacekeeper level 4. It's the best AK stock for any AKs that can take this stock, including things like the RD. Additionally, the EOTech HHS-1 hybrid sight is also locked behind Peacekeeper level 4. You can get them on the flea market for very cheap. So it's really just that stock that's going to be a pain in your ass. You do specifically need to use the magazine that's on screen here in this color combination. You don't want to get one with higher erg or anything. It needs to have this magazine specifically. All right, Gunsmith Part 19. So you're going to be waiting 21 hours to work on Gunsmith Part 19. You're going to need to modify an SVDS. Something weird about modifying this is they actually added a new component to the SVD. So you used to be able to just go ahead and slot on AK pistol grips. Now there's like a component, like an adapter that mounts to the chassis of the weapon, and then you can put your pistol grips on. And that's the SVDS Lynx Arms AK Series pistol grip adapter. Just make sure you have that. You might not notice it in this modify screen. You might think this is broken or something. It's not broken. Other than that, modifying this is a bit weird with the chassis and the dust cover. Just pull everything off, then mount the dust cover, and then mount the chassis. Modifying the SVD is always a little bit weird. So it's a really old weapon, I suppose. You're going to need largely level 3 traders to do this. The only thing that's going to be a pain in your ass is a level 4 optic from Jaeger, and that's the March Tactical 3-24 30mm rifle scope. I can buy this for you, no worries. It's not very expensive on the flea market right now, and it probably won't be very expensive. So just go ahead and look. If it goes up in value, just reach out to me, no problem. Gunsmith Part 20. So for this, we're going to be modifying an M1A. There's nothing too big of a deal here. For the Ultimac M8 forward optic mount, you're actually going to barter for this in mechanic level 2. It is pretty expensive on the flea market at the time recording this. You're going to see the Night Force once again. You already know Jaeger level 2 barter or Jaeger level 4. Same thing with a 34mm mount for this, mechanic level 2 barter. With this like deluxe mount, that's actually going to go ahead and mount your optic. You can get this from mechanic level 2 barter. You can buy it from mechanic level 3, or you can get a Peacekeeper level 2 barter as well. Other than that, it's a pretty simple build and you'll be on your way. Gunsmith Part 21. So this one's a little bit weird. We actually need to modify 2 different weapons for this quest, an M700 and a 1911. We'll start with the M700. For the M700, it's pretty easy. Just go ahead and follow everything on screen. There's no barters. You need to be level 38 to start this quest. So I'm going to assume you already have Peacekeeper level 4. There are a few components tied behind Peacekeeper level 4, but I would really be surprised if any of you guys aren't at Peacekeeper level 4. Moving on to the 1911, super simple build once again. You just turn both of these in. So Gunsmith Part 22 is going to be locked behind 21 hours. We're going to be modifying an M4A1 for this build. You can use either 60-round magazine, either the Stanag or the drum, whatever you can get cheaper. Just check the barters. Usually the Stanag's a pretty cheap barter. And you're actually going to need the tan CAC suppressor. You cannot use the black one for this build. Just keep that in mind, and you cannot buy that one. It has to be loot only, but it's cheap on the flea market generally. For the Reaper, you're going to need to utilize a barter with Skier level 4. And for the mount, you're going to need to utilize a barter for Jaeger level 2. Make sure to put your Reaper scope eye cup on it. Otherwise, you will not be able to turn this in. And then we'll move on to Gunsmith Part 23, which is actually going to be locked behind another time gate. So wait another 21 hours and you will have Gunsmith Part 23. For this, we're going to be modifying a Mutant. Just go ahead and build it exactly as you see on screen right now. You are going to need that big drum magazine. You can just buy it from Peacekeeper level 4. And at this point, you should have access to all of these weapons. The only thing that's going to be a pain in your ass is you are going to need that 409mm barrel, which is actually locked behind turning this quest in. The issue is late game, players have not done this many gunsmith tasks and they want to build meta mutants, or they want to do this quest. So I've seen these go for as much as 500,000 rubles. Just reach out to me. I can go ahead and get this for you, no big deal, and then you'll be able to help out others. On to Gunsmith Part 24. So for this, we're going to be modifying an SR25. The only thing that's going to be a little bit weird is you're going to need a Fleer. You can actually buy these Jaeger level 4, but I would recommend the Jaeger level 3 barter. At the time of recording this, it's really cheap. There is also a mechanic level 3 barter, so just go ahead and check, see whatever one is cheaper for you. You're going to need to go ahead and use a SE5 forward grip. Specifically, you're going to need the black variation of this, and it's also ironically locked behind this quest once again. So I have these. They're pretty expensive on the flea market at the time of recording this, going for around 200,000 rubles, so I can buy this for you. No worries, just come reach out to me. You can also use whatever muzzle adapter you have access to. So if you have a CAC QDC, use that, or the other variation of it. One of them is a flash suppressor and one of them is a muzzle brake. It's a little hidden tip if you don't know. The muzzle brake kit actually gives you better stats while paired with the other CAC suppressor, and it's a phenomenal combo, one of the best for 308s. But you probably already knew that. And that is Gunsmith Part 24 completed. For Gunsmith Part 25, the rewards are insane. Listen to these rewards: 5 bitcoins, 35,000 experience, a weapons case, and the barter for the black key card. You want to get this done as soon as possible so you can make a lot of money off this. I sold my weapons case for 5 million. The physical Bitcoin is similar, 2.5 million. That might be more or less because it's tied to the price of Bitcoin in real life once again. And then I bought my black key card with the money, and that barter is really cheap right now because no one has it unlocked. And the biggest issue with this is you specifically need to get your hands on a PKP and not a PKM. And the only place to get that is from killing Kaban, which is quite hard to run into at the moment. Right now, bosses are only spawning at a 5% rate at the time of recording this. They will bump that up as the white gets longer and longer. I'm trying to collect as many of these as possible so that I can just give them to you guys. I know it can be a pain in the ass to try and farm him for this and get out. So if you need one of these, feel free to reach out to me. Other than that, this is super easy to build. The only thing I want you to look out for is you need to put 2 pistol grips on this thing. So that's a little bit weird. And then make sure you also have the eye cup on it. And with that, you will have completed Gunsmith Part 25 and every single Gunsmith quest. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. I try to keep this as short and sweet as possible. The only thing I ask in return is if you could share this with your friends, that would mean the world for me. I'm sure at this point, if you've completed Gunsmith Part 25, I've already met you in Discord and on the live stream, and I appreciate you making it to the end of this video. Hopefully you've had an amazing Tarkov wipe. I love you, and I'll see you in another video.